Hey, what's up, Fusion High Virgin Gang? Hope you're doing well. I'm doing pretty good. Today on the Opossum One of Ones, the never-ending cycle of toilet paper art that's flowing out from me. It's like a roll, just unrolling it, and every square is a new Pokemon creation I can create. We got Bulbasaur, another one that I made a little bit ago, but a lot of people have been asking me to actually do that one. Made it. This one was one of my first ones I made. It was like one of the first requests I did. I think I did it for Poketrev. He asked me to make that. The eye on the left side's a little wonky, but other than that, I think it looks pretty good. Not tracing any of these, by the way. You can see that at Card Party if you want to. I don't really care. I'm just throwing it out there because some people are saying that in the first place. So, want to talk about a Pokemon set that I'm sure everybody is familiar with. Everyone's talking about. It's all the rage right now. You got Fusion Strike.
Fusion Strike! Fusion Strike.
Fusion Strike. It's the set that literally everyone cannot shut the fuck up about right now. And to me, Fusion Strike is hilarious. It's a hilarious set for a lot of different reasons. Mostly because of all the different times people have straight up just like ripped on Fusion Strike, saying it was like one of the worst sets, particularly in year 3 of Sword and Shield, basically outclassed by every other set. Brilliant Stars, I forget what the one in the middle was, and then you got, Silver Tempest. I can't remember the middle one to save my life. I was collecting Japanese at the time, and that one was Time Gazer Space Juggler. Anyway, yeah, Fusion Strike got ripped on a lot. A whole lot. There were several people that were like, Fusion Strike is probably not going to be one of the best ones, to the point where Ryan straight up made it a meme where he was opening the best set ever in the TCG ever. It's a weird set in my personal opinion because of where it actually stems from. Like in Japanese, it's made of a bunch of different like promos from Japan that got weirdly tossed into Fusion Strike just to like make a set more complete. Like the Gengar, the Inteleon, the Espeon, the Celebi on top of that too. All 4 of those cards are promos in Japan. They're from specific releases or from specific products themselves and just got yanked in there. The only ones that actually make sense and were in sets typically were the Mew V, the Mew V Max, and the Genesect, and then one more. There's one more that was also thrown there. Can't remember off the top of my head. Anyway, the Mew V Max when it came out was absolutely despised. There were so many people that said this card was trash. It looks just like a standard V Max, and they should have did something better for the Mew V. The Mew V, like the standard V one, gets a lot more praise. It's definitely not a card people are clamoring for in my personal opinion. I haven't seen anybody running for that card. It's a beautiful card, by the way, drawn by Naoki Saito. It's like Mew and friends hanging out with all the pals. But the VMAX one, people were ripping into that one like crazy, saying it was absolute dog shit. And then last but certainly not least, the funniest part about the whole thing is, remember about a year ago when apparently a bunch of the Fusion Strike hits were apparently abducted? They were fucking claw gamed right out of the actual sets themselves. There was that person who was going to that card store who had literally stacks on stacks on stacks of Fusion Strikes, the big hits, the alternate arts, the rainbow rares, the golds. Like, they just had tons of them. It was just fucking, they pulled a rope and it was just Fusion Strike pulls everywhere, flying out of their asshole. They couldn't get rid of the Fusion Strike pulls enough. And everybody was extremely concerned that this set was going to suffer long term because the pull rate for it was going to stink because of this kind of publicity. And a lot of people were saying like, maybe not like that bad. I still think it affected the pull rate somewhat on that first print run for sure. Rattle made his own post about it. He was heavily adamant that Fusion Strike was going to be that stuff. And honestly, kind of seems like he's had the last laugh when it comes to that, because if you fast forward now, Fusion Strike's just all the rage. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's trying to open it. The booster box itself is like the 3rd most expensive from Sword and Shield. Like, it's a good bit ahead of some of its competition too. I think the only 2 that are ahead of it, according to PokeRev, which he did a video by the way, was the one, which one was it? It was Sword and Shield base and then Evolving Skies. That's what it was, absolutely. But why is it going for so crazy? What's the actual thing itself? Well, it's some of the actual chase cards themselves. So you got Mew VMAX, the one that everybody hated on. Not too bad. I mean, $100, it's still not cheap. But Gengar is where it's going to start getting kind of crazy. You got $345 for the sucker, with the average price for it being around like $425, with one selling today for $750. I really do think someone's trying to ride the old pump and dump train with that garbage. And I do think some of these singles are going to drop in value. I really do. But Espeon's no exception to that as well. That's a beautiful card. I do like that one. The attack on Espeon, sleeping on a nice little building. We're sitting at about 260 for that light play, but the average is around 220, 230 for that. that. And then a couple of the cards are also following. So I think Celebi's like 50, $60, which is all right for an alternate art. It's definitely not like crazy, crazy like Gengar or anything. But when it comes to popular ones like that, it's just nuts. I was crashing onto it because Pokero talked about he was, tracking the booster box price and saw that that was going up and decided to capitalize on a little bit, maybe get some extra views out of that as well. And I mean, Fusion Strike is a fun set to open up right there. 241 for the box. And remember, guys, Pokeref doesn't talk about money. He's not a money guy by any stretch of the imagination. He doesn't solely focus on money. But to say the dude doesn't talk about money is just disingenuous, in my opinion. But I mean, even with that, a year ago, he was also on board with Fusion Strike also being a little bit wonky-dory and all that stuff. And then, of course, a year later, I didn't do that thumbnail, by the way. That's just his actual thumbnail, and they used the same face. That wasn't me. That wasn't me just trying to be funny or anything. That's just genuinely what his stuff looks like. Like I said, Rattle made videos about it too, so did I. Everybody was kind of on this whole thing with Fusion Strike. It was kind of a crazy thing, and everybody seems to have kind of forgot it. But Fusion Strike, in my personal opinion, this is like my little fucking thing, like supporting anything where everyone talking about Pokemon cards and Pokemon sets and what's going to be the next explosive set is all just a guess. Fusion Strike, of all sets currently, is one of the top sets in there. And with the history that happened with it, the amount of people who are skeptical for it, the amount of like weird assimilation of it, the lack of people really being interested in the cards, minus like one or two back in the day, now swinging full circle now that Alt Art Mania is flying out of people's mouths, like people can't fucking shut up about it. Fusion Strike is now up there, and anybody who bought a lot of Fusion Strike, because it was literally everywhere, is probably feeling pretty good about that stuff right now. I'm not saying it's going to sit those prices forever. I'm not saying it's going to be like anything crazy, but I mean, if you got a little bit of product or something, I mean, it's definitely to hold on to. I'm holding on to it. I like the ETB a little bit. I don't typically pick up booster boxes. I'll pick up ETBs because I like the art for that stuff. It gives me a few little packs later on, just something to hold up. But like, anybody who actually bought it, I don't know. I don't really think anybody could have saw it coming and spiking up like that. This whole alternate art thing. I mean, Japan is a very good indication of where I truly feel this market is going to go when it comes to the singles of these actual cards. I really do think you could look at Japan and be like, well, this stuff kind of emulated that as well, because a lot of Japanese alternate arts followed this trend too. And then some of them, they're not like cheap, but they've definitely dropped and lost a lot of value. But at the end of the day, anybody and everybody could be fucking wrong. It's just guessing. I just think it's funny that Fusion Strike is the set of sets right now. It's just hilarious to me. I would not have guessed that a year ago, especially with all the speculation about like, oh, my sets are getting pulled from. Why even open this stuff? Even though everyone knew there was a fucking second print run and all that stuff too. Goofy times, though. Goofy stuff. I like the Mew. I really do. I think that Mew's a great card. I'm probably not going to get rid of that. I'm throwing out there for Fusion Strike. How do you guys feel about it? How do you really, truly feel about the set that is Fusion Strike? I just saw everybody talking about it and just wanted to also yap about it as well. That's all I got. Appreciate it, Virgin. See you later. Fusion Strike. Fusion Strike. Best set ever. Fusion Strike.